At the moment, I'm reading Anna Karenina by Tolstoy.
Okay. It's quite heavy going.
Well, it's a heavy book.
Physically?
It's physically heavy.
Yeah.
It's physically heavy.
Two arms to kind of...
Good door stopper.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's actually not particularly heavy reading. It's the interesting thing about books like it. It was really written for a popular audience. So it was written for, I suppose, ordinary people at the time.
In Russian?
In Russian,
and you're reading it in the original Russian, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
We'll talk about the Russian part later on when I practice my Russian.
Happy to. Yeah. We'll go with it.
But I'll not embarrass you by out-Russianing you.
Absolutely.
I was trying to think what my favorite novel was of all time. I really got into this novel called The Quiet Light, which is actually a biography of St. Thomas Aquinas. You're like... Everyone is now rolling their eyes. Here we go. The Dominicans are promoting St. Thomas again. But it's actually really, really great read.
Yeah.
I loved it, But it just really because it like sparked my imagination, and like what was St. Thomas's life actually like? And we know him other than through his texts and what have you. But I mean, I can't get around Lord of the Rings. I just
really
fell in love with those books as a child.
Yeah.
Like I first read them when I was 12 or 13.
Sure.
And most of it passed over my head, but when I went back to it in subsequent years, it was incredible. Loved it.
Yeah, they're so rich, I suppose, and it's a series of books that keeps giving. So I think that's
books that
mark of an amazing one. Yeah, exactly. So you read it and then you read it again and you get something different from it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark of a great novel, maybe.
The thing is, though, they're now movies, so you just go and watch the film because that's what you're here to promote, isn't it?
A film.
That people should watch movies rather than read books, or
exactly the relative comparative worthlessness of literature. That's my pitch.
Great. And with that, we welcome you to the Ars Populi podcast. We're here with Luke Power, who is an anti-novel campaigner, or quite the contrary. Luke, you're very welcome on the podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
Father Chris Galt, Irish Dominican. And let's dive right in. Luke, we know what you're reading now, but why are you reading these things? Why are these novels so important to you?
Sure. Well, I guess it's a big question. And I suppose maybe the question, like I think most people would agree, literature of some kind is important.
Yeah.
In a broad sense, if you ask somebody, is literature important? They'd say, well, sure, yeah, it's important. But like, why the novel? Like that's what interests me. Because that's always been my passion. It's always been what I've been interested in.
You have a background in creative writing, do you?
Yeah. So I studied creative writing for my undergrad.
Okay.
For years as a teenager, I wanted to go to art college. I didn't do that. I studied English and creative writing in Galway, and have been writing, reading, editing since. So novels, short fiction, poetry, songs.
My goodness.
So yeah, it's my big interest, and I think that my pitch is that the novel has something to offer, uniquely as an art form, and that we should all be reading more of them.
Okay, tell me more, because, when people think, what was striking me there was people will automatically, like, knee-jerk reaction say, yes, literature is important. It's one of the things, like music and art. Like, pretty buildings, it's just one of the things everybody universally agrees.
Sure.
But if you ask them why, why is good literature, and specifically novels, what is it that novels give us that you can't get from, I don't know, a cookery book?
Yeah. It's funny. I read recently a book by Joseph Epstein called, I reviewed it as well, called The Novel Who Needs It. So he's an essayist, Chicago born. He's written about 30 books. He's prolific.
Fiction?
No, mostly book works of nonfiction and a few collections of short stories. But he basically spends this book, The Novel Who Needs It. Like his claim is not only that the novel's really important, but he actually just kind of trashes everything else.
Oh,
well, he doesn't trash it exactly, but he's basically going, look, the novel offers something that film couldn't hope to offer. The novel offers something that poetry can't hope to offer. I think it's a little bit apples and oranges because I think that they're doing something different.
Okay.
So like with the novel, I think one of the most beautiful ways I heard it put was at a talk recently by a Dr. Julia Meseros. And she was speaking about the novel and the Catholic imagination. And she made the point, I think she was quoting somebody, but she described the novel as a school of love.
Interesting.
That it's something that turns us from the self, it turns us from the ego, and it invites us into the experience of others.
Okay.
And I think that's the amazing thing.
Even if that experience of others is imaginary, fictionalized, it's still worthwhile.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is. Of course it is. Yeah. Because it has inherent value in how we interpret it and in how we digest it.
Yeah.
So like the fact that it's fictionalized, I mean, I think sometimes there can be greater truth in fiction, because it allows for I suppose a more controlled expression of the author's intention.
Yeah.
Whereas with a work of nonfiction, it's different, I suppose I'd say. Yeah.
We have to deal with. I mean, what I'm thinking is we're dealing with reality in both spheres. In nonfiction, you might get a factual textbook. It'll give you facts, information.
Yeah.
The novel, actually, what you might compare it to is, I think you've compared it to an instruction manual for life.
Yeah.
You say washing machines and cookers, these things, they come with instruction manuals on how to. You're saying novels give us instructions on how to live our lives?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So I think I think looking first of all at, like, if we're looking at this from a Christian perspective or from a spiritual perspective, like, the holy text of Christianity, the Bible, is a collection of writings. And broadly speaking, like these writings are not, they're not kind of mathematical equations or syllogisms or, well, I don't know, I haven't read it, but
your list. It should be on your list.
It's on the list. Yeah.
Everyone should read the Bible.
Yeah. After Anna Karenina, I think. But like what it's filled with is stories, and it's filled with poetry, and it's filled with narrative. And I think I suppose I'm not elevating novels to the same extent as that. Yeah. But I think they serve a different purpose. I think they or a similar but reduced purpose, in that they are an attempt at they invite empathy, I think.
Inviting empathy.
Yeah.
I was going to say, which was probably better, mediating truth.
Yes. Yeah, I like that.
The reason I'm thinking is that I studied the prophets in the last year, and everybody comes into the class on the prophets thinking, okay, we're going to learn how these guys predicted the future. That's not prophecy. Like, prophecy is actually being a mediation between the divine and the human.
Sure.
Transmitting divine truth in a way that humans can understand.
Yeah.
So that if you get a really good novelist, firstly, they'll have a great insight into a profound truth, but they'll also be able to communicate it to people in a way they can relate to, in a fictionalized form. Okay, yeah, they've made up the circumstances and the characters. But the truth that they're trying to communicate has been discovered, not invented by them.
Yeah. I think that's perfect. Yeah. And I think as well, it's important to make a distinction between, I don't want to go too deeply into this because I'm not a philosopher, but a difference between truth and facts. Oh, good.
Philosophize away.
Apologies to all listening, as we ensue on a discussion of philosophy. But I think there's a difference between truth and facts, and like what we're not looking for in a novel is information. No. That's not what we're after. Yeah. But again, that idea I really like of mediating truth.
Mediating truth
is really good.
And the instruction manual, because the instruction manual mediates the truth of how this appliance, this smart watch or whatever, actually works and functions. How do I get it to beep and tell me the time?
Yeah.
So how, in your experience, does a novel tell you how to live your life, but not dictate to you, but suggest ways in which, this is a great way to live your life. This is a great approach to life.
Sure.
Do you have any?
Well, I suppose First of all, I would say that I think what you take from a novel depends on where you're coming from. So it depends on your, I suppose, beliefs. It depends on your like moral foundation, and so what you take from a novel is going to be altered by what you believe already. So what I think a novel does is, like, for the discerning reader, it allows you insights into human nature, and allows you insights into the world, and it allows you insights into human relationships, and all of these things that are hard bought in the real world. So these are things that, like, you might have to lose friendships, you might have to go through breakups, you might,
I do.
Yeah, right.
You're the bearer of such bad news. Look, I wouldn't have had you on the podcast.
I know.
You'd have to go through these things.
It's terrible, but I think it's true. Unfortunately,
no, it's true. I mean, when I visited Middle Earth, this is why I identify so much with the Lord of the Rings novels. That they just. But in all seriousness, they convey the truth to me. When I was younger, that I just was able to define, like, okay, you're surrounded by wizards and like elves and all this stuff. That's all really cool, but there's a deeper truth that I found in the Lord of the Rings. Like you mentioned earlier about, was the language of Julian Mazaris's great line about teaching us to love, or is it
a school of love?
School of love. Yeah, exactly. That's what I actually found in the Lord of the Rings. With the elements of sacrifice, and doing difficult things, growing in virtue. This is all relevant to the school of love.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, people look at, particularly, I mean, fantasy and science fiction, which Tolkien is kind of the father of modern fantasy. People kind of look at it and say, oh, well, it's all goblins and elves and nonsense,
Give me more.
Well, exactly. But the thing about it is, that's just the content. Like, that's just the window dressing. Like what you take from it is not that. It's something Epstein's really interesting on, because he basically says, look, it's novels, like, we rarely remember their plots.
Oh, yeah.
We actually rarely remember what they're about. Most of the time. Like, I read quite a few novels in the year. I hesitate to put a number on it, but, like, I don't remember most of them. But, like, what you take, thousands.
Oh no! Oh,
yeah. What you take from it is something more abstract. Sorry, it's not abstract exactly, but it's
You're abstracting from the concrete stuff that you've read on the page.
Exactly.
You're abstracting a deeper truth to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you had a go at writing any of your own novels?
Yeah, so I've written a couple of novels.
Wow.
You won't find them in popular bookshops, or any bookshops for that matter.
They remain unpublished?
They remain unpublished for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you still touching them up, or are you?
Yeah, well, I'm writing one I mean, I think, like, the couple I've written and finished, I don't think I'd like to see them published. Okay. But I think you have to write bad novels in order to write good ones.
Oh, okay.
Like, you've got to write that first one in order to write the second one.
So there's an experience you go through where you read a novel, you think it's not so great, but I'll learn from what I've done. So when I move on to the next one.
Well, I believed in it when I was writing it.
Okay.
But I suppose it took a certain amount of hard-earned maturity on my part to kind of step back from it and say, okay, that one isn't it, but the next one will be. And I was glad I did it.
Great.
But I think I did have to believe in it at the time, or I wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
Are
you drawing on your own experiences of life in writing these novels? You must be.
I guess so. I guess so. I think it's a hotly debated topic amongst the very small number of people who care as to whether you should write about, write what you know or not write what you know. Yeah. But I think you're always writing what you know in the human sense. Yeah. Like, you're always kind of writing. You can only write as well as you yourself
live.
Mm. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna let that hang. But I think the content, like, you know, J.R.R. Tolkien didn't ever visit Middle Earth himself, so I think you don't have to write what you know in that sense. But I think what comes from the heart, you know, the truth of the heart, so to speak.
One trilogy of novels actually that I've just finished, and I actually find, sorry, that like during my day, I've just finished studying theology, so most of the books I open in front of me are theology, you know, and that's great. But you know, you're a lot of the time you're like, oh gosh, I could just use a novel, you know, because there is an entertainment value in novels as well. So what I do is I tend to you know, go into bed or whatever, I'll read a novel for 10 to 15 minutes maybe before I hopefully drift off to sleep. One set that I just finished was Robert Harris's trilogy about Cicero. Considered as his magnum opus. He's a prolific novelist. And what fascinated me though about it is that I love history. I love Roman history. So it really put me in the life of Cicero. So, you know, Robert Harris, great novelist, he researches fastidiously all of the history. He reads the original texts of Cicero. He's able to quote them. So that it really put me in an actual period of time that did happen, you know. So you can get a range in novels, you know, that Tolkien, okay, Middle Earth never happened and never will happen. Cicero did actually live, but it's still a novel. It's still that dramatized version of his life, because Robert Harris wasn't actually there watching him.
Sure.
You know? I just find there's great entertainment in them. But you can learn as well from the character of Cicero. The greatest orator, for instance, that Rome ever saw, who still got nervous before every single speech.
Sure.
To the point of vomiting. And even though he had no great military experience, he showed courage in that he had to get up onto the rostra and give the speech. So when I'm reading that, I'm thinking, hey, that's great, not only for my life, but also for putting into homilies and talks, you know?
Sure.
Must like bank that one away. And
so you've got a very functional kind of calculating relationship with novels. I see it.
Sometimes I just want to be carried off into a world that doesn't exist, you know?
Sure.
So I hear you. Of escapism to novels as well.
There is. Well, I think that's the great thing about them, is that you know, they're good for you in that they give you a more complex understanding of human nature and all the things we've been talking about, but they're also entertaining.
And they're is a good thing.
Absolutely.
It's a good thing, you know. Sometimes I think we tend to think, gosh, no, I can't be entertained. Never. You know, but actually entertainment is good for our minds, you know.
It is.
Not too much. Not too little as well. There's a mean there, there's a balance.
Exactly. And then I think the quality of the entertainment, then you know, it'll be hard to find, in my opinion, better than novels. Like the late Pope Francis in 2024 last year put out a letter on literature.
Wow.
And one of the things he said in it, like, he kind of opens the letter by you know, talking about how maybe the novel is just seen as a less bad way, you know, of spending your time, maybe than other ways. You know,
movies or YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. It might be, you know, it might be less bad. But then he goes on to say, no, actually, like it's actually of tremendous value in lots of respects, as well as being enjoyable. You know, and he actually suggests that well, he's talking about literature more generally.
Okay.
But not religious literature, but literature more generally, that enormous value in formation, specifically of seminarians, but of everyone.
He had a famous novel. He had a favorite novel himself, didn't he? He said it was Lord of the World.
Okay.
By Monsignor Benson. I think he said the very start of his pontificate was his favorite novel.
Right.
I read it probably not long after that, and it scared me. So,
okay.
You know, it's dystopian, you know.
That too. Yeah.
Got all these like weird and wonderful things carrying around, like flying around, but it was quite eerily accurate in what it predicted. 100 years from its point of writing.
Yeah.
So there was a good kind of Monsignor Benson did a good job in actually putting that together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why can't we just watch YouTube videos? I mean,
you can too. You know, like they're
for my entertainment purposes. Why do I have to open books and read words, which is hard?
Sure. Well, I think that engagement. I think what literature does in the written form. So, I think films are amazing. I think that YouTube. I mean, I've learned so much from different podcasts and things, different documentaries on YouTube. But I think what the written word does is it asks us to take a more active role in engaging with what we're consuming. So, like, I've just driven to Dublin from Galway, and I was listening to an audiobook. You're most welcome. Yeah, I was listening to an audiobook in the car. When I'm doing the dishes at home at night, I might be listening to a podcast, or but it's secondary. It's to an extent it's background noise. And it's I don't want to say a distraction because I don't want to diminish it. But when you're reading a novel, it's an active process, and it asks you to give your time to that and to nothing else.
Yes.
And you can't do other art forms, other mediums don't ask the same thing.
No, they kind of you're right. They can wash over you.
Yeah,
because a lot of the time, I think like when I was going for runs and everything in Rome. And I'm trying to learn Italian, so I might put an Italian podcast on while I'm running. But you get halfway through your run, you think, I haven't listened to a single word, because I've been thinking about other things. It was washing over you, or maybe there was a passive consumption on your part.
Yeah,
the novel's not going to do anything until you pick it up and engage with it.
Exactly, and I think that passive consumption as well, it's a really interesting way of acquiring information now. But as you say, what it can become is just background noise.
Yeah.
And I think that we've eliminated pretty much all the quiet in our lives today.
Yeah.
I'm getting onto one of my hobby horses now, so you're going to have to just wheel the you're going to have to wheel the chair out of here with me holding onto the microphone, But I think there's a lot of noise in our daily lives, and I think there's a not very much quiet, and I think at worst that these podcasts, even if it's for the good end of learning Italian, can serve to further kind of create this white noise of distraction.
Yeah.
Whereas the novel, it asks you to give your time. It's active, and as well, this is and something else that Julia Mazzaro said. It's wonderfully inefficient, in this world that is so obsessed with efficiency.
Well, it's what that you're beforehand. It's a waste of time.
Exactly. Exactly.
Which I promised I wouldn't promote as my official stance on novels. Sure,
but it's come out.
It's out there now.
But yeah, exactly. It's
efficient.
It's because again, while you're going for a run, and you're listening to your podcast in Italian, again, it's something I do. It's something everyone does. We're trying to solve all of these. We're trying to better ourselves and trying to solve all these problems, and it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
But again, it reduces that quiet, and it reduces that ability to just engage with one thing.
We tend to try and squeeze out usefulness from every single minute.
Yeah.
That's the way we've been hardwired now. What can I also be doing in this 6-minute gap?
Yeah.
Such as that it's not wasted.
Yeah.
So in generations past, a lot of the creativity that they had sprung from being bored.
Totally.
That they went and they were waiting for a bus or something, and they had to wait for 20 minutes, and there were no smartphones to distract them, and there was no background noise. So they were alone with their thoughts, and they engaged with the world around them, or God forbid, they might actually talk to somebody next to them on the bench, and this is where a lot of the great, sparks of creativity really came from.
100%.
The novel, it's not going to be background noise. You have to engage with it. It demands your time. But it also, I think, takes away that tendency to, squeeze, because Julia is right. It's inefficient. You can't read a novel for half an hour. You might get through 2 chapters, 3 chapters, whatever. And you look back, you think, what did I gain?
Exactly.
You won't be able to answer it.
Yeah,
it's intangible.
Yeah.
But it's more of a more abstract process of, like you say, betterment and development of yourself.
Except for yourself, where you now have 5 quotes for your homilies from Cicero, but no, exactly.
Yeah.
It has, but what I think is really interesting, and I would encourage anybody listening to try it, is if you can set aside like quite a decent chunk of time to sit down with the book, you know, and pick something you like. You know, like I'm reading Anna Karenina, and I find it has tremendous entertainment value. But if something's not doing it for you and you're trying to get into reading, you know, just pick something that's doing it for you. But sit down with it. It's amazing the effect it has afterwards, you know? That sense of clarity. Again, from having just engaged with one thing. It's I suppose it's almost meditative. And again, in that sense that what it asks you to do, you know, is again turn away from the ego, so to speak. You know, or not even what it asks you to do, what it almost does for you. So it's this amazing. It does have this amazingly calming effect.
Wow.
So yeah, it's also a kind of method of self-help. So there you go. It does everything.
Before we finish, look, I do have to ask you. Top 45 novels. Go.
Okay. Yeah.
So, number 45. If you can give me one great novel to start people off, if they've never really engaged with novels before.
Sure. Yeah. If they've never really engaged with novels.
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Well, it's hard to beat Lord of the Rings.
I'm sorry.
What I suppose I was told not to swing on my chair. What I would say is like if anybody listening to this is living in Ireland or is Irish, John McGahern,
right,
is one of our great hero novelists. You know, so McGahern's That They May Face the Rising Sun,
right,
I think is very much a school of love, and I'd encourage anybody with an interest to read it.
Sticking with that definition, I love it. Look, thank you very much for being here. It's been a fascinating discussion, which has flown by. I think we are out of time though, so I will thank you all for being here on the Ars Populi podcast with myself, Father Chris Galt, and Luke Power, our guest today. If you want to check out more content from the Irish Dominicans, head to our Spotify, our YouTube, and our Instagram. And please God, we'll see you the next time.